2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. I'm worried that my husband's femininity is attractive to other women.
Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers. We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
I'm excited to get into this conversation about it. So, all right, Tyler, should we just dive right in?
Let's do it, man. This is going to be a good one.
No, we don't need any small talk between you and I.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we need it either. Let's do it. So, welcome, you guys. We got Ashley and Josh. Ashley, Josh, welcome to the show. If you guys would want to just give a little bit of background, tell us what's going on, and then ask away.
Yeah, it's so we we're coming up on 9 months since disclosure. My husband had an emotional affair with a coworker for about a year. Postpartum, I guess, it started right after I had a baby, and then lasted until February of this year. So kind of a blow to my world because I fully trusted him with everything. But I guess the question that we had today was more leading into like, women have always found my husband attractive, and I've always just trusted, I'm so lucky that, I have this guy who cares about all these girly things that I like, and that he can connect with women, even my friends. But now, because of the betrayal, how do I let him be himself in these like attractive things that are also attractive to other women?
Ashley, when you say attractive to other women, is it that his femininity is easy for women to connect to, and so that they like to talk about certain things and connect in certain ways because of that?
Yeah, I think he loves to talk. So if I have a friend over, like, he has good things to add to the conversation, and they'll usually ask for his opinions. And I think it goes all across, at work, he likes to make women feel comfortable. I always kind of like saw him as an advocate for women, like in the workplace, he wants to make equality for other women. So I think they tend to think of him as a confidant. And it didn't bother me as much until now. And now I'm like, how do we find a balance?
Mm-hmm. So, Ashley, could you just explain what are some of the specific things that you love about your husband that you're also scared of right now?
That he's a deep thinker, and he's very philosophical, so he will learn something and want to discuss it really deeply. And if I don't know, when he learns something new, he like wants to talk about it and share it with others. So I guess I'm worried that, well, I guess let's answer your question, right? So I like that he thinks deeply. I like that he is in touch with his feelings. So he doesn't tend to hide what he's feeling. If there's a problem, he likes to sit and work it out and like talk through it. He likes to do the things that I like to do. So he likes girly movies. So we'll sit down and he'll watch a chick flick with me and be happy about it and not be like, oh man, we have to watch something else again. Like he's never complained about anything I've wanted to do ever. He likes to dress nice. So like he's always thinking about, like, how can I look good? And so he's attractive physically. He takes care of himself physically. And I guess, I don't know. Those are just
Ashley, do you like that he likes to connect to other people? Like you can have a girlfriend over and he can talk to her and chat with her, and like, do you like that?
I have always liked it. Yes. Like, yeah, I've had girlfriends over and I feel proud, I guess, in those moments. And I'm like, oh, well, they like him, they think that his opinion is worthwhile and like good advice across like so many.
So you like
subjects.
it, but then the betrayal has now changed that. It's turned into a trigger some.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, now if one of my friends, appreciates his opinion, do I have to worry about her coming on to him? Do I have to worry about him allowing her to come on to him?
Josh, I'm wondering just kind of your take on this a little bit from your perspective and your side of things. As you're hearing Ashley talk about her trigger, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, so it actually came to a head a little bit ago with a stranger. And I think it also comes to me not wanting to, or being kind and not wanting to make other people feel uncomfortable or other women feel uncomfortable. So we were at a concert and a woman kept approaching us and it made her uncomfortable because I was too accepting. I was too kind to the woman. And I think it really brought up all these feelings, which led to her, asking the question, the podcast and stuff, just because it comes down to people at work or whatever. I just had a woman disclose to me she got divorced. She just disclosed all this information about her divorce,
her own betrayal
that her husband had betrayed her. And I didn't ask for it. I didn't dig in, and I was very careful because this has come up with Ashley, which is like, I think the truth is, to Ashley's credit, to be fair to Ashley, I don't know how to, I need to learn how to set appropriate boundaries for these type of conversations so that she's comfortable and so I protect her.
Yes.
Right. And so when a coworker approaches me or when a woman approaches me, I'm trying to learn what is kind and what is respectful and what is also well boundaried for my marriage and for my relationship.
Gosh, I want to dive right into that, but Tyler, should we go there?
Go ahead, Brennan. I was going to go a certain way too, but go ahead.
Well, I just think that Josh, your natural, just who you are probably makes it so that people want to, confide in you and talk to you. Right. And so when you talk about having boundaries, because boundaries have been broken and the betrayal did happen, and it happened because you've lacked boundaries. And now you're wondering, how do I protect Ashley in our relationship now? Your boundaries start long before that woman starts to tell you about her divorce. it's your energy that you put off to your coworkers that really invites them to come and confide and come and say, yeah, Josh is available. I know he'll listen. I know he'll dig. For example, I'm an empathetic person. I think that's one of my superpowers. I work with a lot of different people, a lot of women, and they know that I love them and care about them. And they know that I don't go certain places with them, and I'm not available for that. I'm just not. And I don't have to say it. I don't need to sit down and have a conversation with them and say, hey, let me tell you that I'm not going to talk to you about your sex life or your divorce or your this or your that. They just know that. Now, how do they know that? Like, how do you do that? That's kind of the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Tyler?
Are you, Josh, it sounds like this is the case. You're a naturally helpful person. Like you would identify yourself that way.
Yeah, I think I think the crux of the betrayal started with this idea of me helping them with their marriage, right? I think that's the crux of what Ashley's concerned about or worried about.
Where do the boundaries get crossed in your mind?
I'm learning to set boundaries far earlier than I think they need to be, right? So I think the boundaries are crossed in any conversation about marital issues with a coworker at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've taken a step back now and started to see, like what Brandon was saying is that, okay, your natural tendency to be just a place where people like to land is part of what's kind of gotten you into the mess you did, because you didn't have the boundaries in place beforehand, and it just kind of slowly trickled its way into places that it wasn't very helpful for your marriage and your long-term goals. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry for the kids.
So
just one sec. We'll move him up into the loft.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, as you're talking, Josh, I'm actually being like reminded of part of my own process. I'm a therapist, but I'm also in recovery myself. And I happen to be similar to you, I think, where my kids are always joking that, we went on a trip to Hawaii this year, and we sat on the beach, and after an hour on the beach, I was like best friends with one of the locals, and I'd heard his whole life story. And my kids were like, you do that with everybody, Dad. Like everybody like just talks to you. They like to talk to you, Dad. I'm like, yeah, I guess it's like, that's maybe one of my superpowers, but that got me into trouble too. And so what I learned for myself is that I don't want to, and what will often happen in recovery is that when the burn happens and there's been that betrayal, then there's a tendency to swing all the way to their side and be like, nope, I don't talk to women anymore. I don't do anything. Like, I don't even know there's another sex anymore. Like, and that's not helpful either. And so then finding and narrowing in the right places. So like, for instance, boundaries wise, it sounds like you're trying to figure this out. I know that my current boundaries, and believe me, like if there was ever a place where you could get into trouble, it's being a therapist with another woman who's just been betrayed, right? Like, because when they have another man who's willing to listen and show empathy and understanding, that's really like relieving, right? So I have two boundaries for myself that I set. And this is for me, that I don't interact with a woman ever in a way that if my wife was present, she'd be offended. And then I personally don't delete any type of correspondence I have with anyone of the opposite sex from any of my platforms. And my wife will never check any of that, but that's my way of holding myself accountable to saying, I'm going to make sure that my communication is on the up and up, where I can use my skills and my gifts, but it can also be done in a boundaried way. Does that make sense?
But it seems like, and Ashley, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like you were okay with it, right? You were okay with him having relationships with women because he was friends, and until the betrayal, and then it's like, ugh, I really don't like this, right?
You know what? I don't feel like I'm okay with him being friends with girls alone. Like, I feel like we have a lot of friends that are couples, or like my friends when they're over, that's fine. I don't think I would feel comfortable with him, you know, having girl
Friends.
friends
Yeah.
that I'm not friends
Yes.
with.
Okay, so that makes sense. So Josh, why would you have girl friends, like just friends at this point in the game? What would be the point of that?
You know, it's interesting because I think she was, I, I think even before the betrayal, I think she had this like sense that my boundaries
Yeah.
weren't okay. And she was actually expressing that long before the betrayal. And just for example,
With a couple other girls,
yeah.
friends.
So to answer your question, Brandon, like I think there are a couple friends that I had that were, you know, networking kind of not coworkers, but they were other CEOs or leaders
Friends
of
of friends,
businesses that were, it was kind of almost like friends to like discuss business and how to run businesses well and to encourage each other. And I think that kind of, even those relationships, I think Ashley was very leery of. And they didn't go anywhere. There was nothing that like they turned into, but I think it still felt like she still wanted to create those boundaries.
I feel like there's a difference though. Like I tend to have a good radar for women who are threatening versus ones that I feel like
Yes.
comfortable with. So there are a few friends that he has that I'm like, oh, I'd probably be okay, you know, if you go to lunch with her. I'd still like to know about it, but like it would be okay. But then there are some women, like there's a specific one who's like removed him from my presence, like while I was there, to like take him to a private room. And I just felt abandoned by him and just really trampled on by her, that she felt like that was okay. And this kind of scenario has happened a few times with different women. And I don't like that there are women that will, with me there, trample on me and he will let his boundaries not exist.
I think it's what she's looking for. What she's looking for is for me to stand up for her and create a boundary in front of her with that other woman. And I think her fear is that I'm too nice to the other person. Like I'm too careful with the other person's feelings to be boundaried and strong. And she listened to the other podcast and she was like, oh, this is masculinity. If he was masculine, he would protect us. And I was like, well, I don't know what that means. And so that's what really
I do
us
think
here.
that Ashley, you're not off on that in that like Josh, if we were to really analyze this and look at this, why are you selling out because of the fear of them not liking you or what it is? You know, there's a lack of strength there to be able to say like, no, like I just think about another woman pulling me away to say something to me so that my wife doesn't hear it. That would trigger my wife like crazy. That would not be okay. And so what is it about you to lack that strength? And by the way, Josh, those women, they can sense that and they'll prey on you for it, right? They'll know that, hey, he's available. I can take advantage of that because that lack of boundary is there. And so if we were to analyze this and say, why is it uncomfortable for you to stand in that strength to say like, no, here's my limit. This is my boundary. And I would say it is a breakdown in masculinity. Have I stumped you?
I go to Therapy Utah. I meet with one of the therapists and like learning about myself and learning about like, I think, I want to be liked. It's my weakness. I think it's a weakness is that I don't have a lot of self-worth. And so I look for worth from other people encouraging me and saying nice things about me and, you know, appearance or smarts or work or whatever. Like I need that more than I should need it. And I think this particular group of people where the woman pulled me aside was important to me because they were, you know, business leaders and local, you know, smart, successful people, and they mattered to me. And I think they mattered to me too much. And I didn't want to look, I wanted to look like I was part of them. And I think that came at cost of my own personal boundaries. And also a side note to that is like, I don't know that I had developed strong boundaries as much as it was another part of the problem, was like, I didn't know. And I should have, but I hadn't yet learned that or understood that at that point.
You're hitting like the crux of a lot of like couples that we work with. There's this little thing that happens where, from say like Ashley, your side of things, you look at a situation like that and go, wow, like everybody else's wife or woman, their feelings are more important than mine are. Right. But then on the flip side, Josh, you're not looking at it that way. You're going like, my fear of needing to keep the peace and to keep people happy and to make sure that I'm seen in a certain light is what's driving my behavior. And I'm not even seeing it in the form of like, oh, I'm choosing this person over the other person. I'm actually really choosing myself. I'm choosing like this fear that's driving it, but then it crosses over, and in the relationship, it's hard because now you hear your wife say, yeah, like so-and-so is more important than I am. You protected them. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard a woman say, like when D-Day happened or whatever, just with an affair, that the husband actually seemed to protect the other person's feelings instead of step in with accountability and respect and protect their wife's feelings. And it gets interpreted, and Ashley, tell me if I'm wrong, but it gets interpreted as he cares more about them than me, when in reality, it's all just a face-saving thing from Josh, your position.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I mean, our story is pretty messy. But this woman had been simultaneously having an affair with one of Josh's really good friends, unbeknownst to him. So he had his own betrayal within this love triangle that was just a mess. But we found out about the other friend first, and that what led up to his disclosure to me eventually was, he is defending this woman like to the death. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, this is let HR deal with this. This is not your issue. And for, a year, the whole time, like, I had this sense of, why are you so protective of this woman's feelings? I don't get it. But even after the disclosure, he's like, I don't want to ruin her life. Like, I don't want her to lose her job. Like, all this things, I'm like, what about me? Like, do I matter? Like, does what I want matter? Because, like, you don't have to punish me. I mean, punish her more before you punish me more.
Josh, I want to, I just want to dig in more. Like, you say the lack of self-worth, you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, and listen to what Ashley's saying, like why won't you make it uncomfortable with her? Like, protect me is what she's saying. Protect me, show up. And to dig a little bit more with you, Josh, to say, where is that coming from? Why the lack of self-worth? What is the fear, and where does that fear come from about really making people uncomfortable to have those boundaries?
I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of shame. A month before I disclosed the emotional affair, I disclosed that I had been using pornography for all of our marriage, right? And not a month. It was November, December, but it was like, I think what's been really powerful for me, even in the last, probably in the last 6 months, as I've come out of the shame of pornography, the shame of that, is feeling more connected to her, more of my self-worth through, recognizing there's this responsibility to make other people happy that gives me value, that I think even in my marriage or in my work environment, that was causing a lot of it. And I think those are kind of going away as I recognize.
Josh, where was that in your childhood? This responsibility to make everybody feel happy, to make sure everybody's okay.
Is that like being a first child?
You're a
thing?
first child. What are you,
Hey,
Tyler?
join the club,
Can
buddy.
you relate?
We're one and the same, man. I relate so much to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like my man, there's so much there because I'm the oldest of 6, and there's a couple brothers and even my sister that really struggled with a lot of stuff growing up. And I think I took a lot of responsibility.
How could you not, man?
For some of the things in their life. And it's like you fast forward, right? And it only gets worse, because then it's like, we're successful. They're having a harder time. And it just
Guilt.
And it's just like feeling of like I think like for most of my life, it just felt like you're supposed to help people. You're supposed to be nice.
Which is hard, Josh, because that's actually true. You are supposed to help people and be nice, but it's the message that little boy trying to figure out how to protect his whole family felt that he had to be instead of he wanted to be. I'll just tell you a really brief story that's hitting home similar to what you're saying here. I remember I've done some EMDR over my own kind of stuff, my own beliefs, and one of the situations that I've had to do some EMDR over was that for years, even into my full adulthood, I'm in my 40s now, and it didn't occur to me until late 30s that I was still shouldering the load of needing to try to be responsible to protect my brothers. And that stemmed back all the way to being a child and feeling like I had betrayed my brothers because I wasn't fully able to protect them from certain things in life. And Brandon doesn't even know this, but I carried that burden for a long time. And I remember a specific memory where I felt like I needed to protect them and I couldn't. And because I couldn't, I felt like I had betrayed my brothers, and I'd carried that guilt and shame with me in my whole life, all the way into my 30s. And it was only after doing some EMDR and realizing, you know what? I was doing the best I could as a little boy who only saw the world from one angle and didn't realize that I was still actually the hero of my own story, and that I wasn't responsible, that I couldn't have been responsible to do that protecting. And I hear that in you, that there's going to have to be some level of understanding and empathy and compassion for yourself, and then ultimately some surrender of those beliefs to realize that, you know what, you can love and serve and be kind to your family and other people around you. But the greatest work you're going to have is to figure out how to let life happen in the lives of others the same way that it happens in yours, and to focus on yours.
If I can make an observation, I went and hung out with Tyler on Friday, and I came home. I was driving home, and I was thinking, man, my older brother is like the best soul in the world. And Josh, I remember meeting with you. We met, right? Yeah, I remember meeting with you, and I remember thinking, man, that's a good guy, And here's the thing, like this family hero, oldest child protector role, it seems like I'm just going to kind of speak straight with you guys and tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like it feeds this kind of femininity energy, and also this very caring, connected energy, and at the expense of deep rooted shame, like some real deep shame about not being able to fail, not being able to cause too much conflict, and step into discomfort because you're worried that you're going to let everybody down. Am I off on that?
No, I think that's well, from my perspective, I feel like I've added to the shame in our marriage because I'm nitpicking things or nagging him or telling him all the ways that he wasn't doing things right. And so I think for most of our marriage, he just felt like he was constantly failing me. And he's like, well, how am I going to amount to anything? I've been trying my whole life. It's not going anywhere. I'm not getting anywhere. It's not getting me anything. And so
trying to please you, Ashley, but never being able to trying to make you not mad. Yeah. And that breaks down the masculinity because you're always trying to get your worth from someone else saying you're okay, you're good enough, like you're protecting me, right?
Yeah, Brandon, I think you just basically, I don't know what Joshua thinks, but I think you just hit the nail on the head that, and this is maybe where Ashley's question was at the beginning here, is that I don't want to give up the parts of myself that I like. I like that I'm able to connect to people and that I care for people and that I want to serve and that I want to nurture. And but the key element that you identified was that the shame that is attached to all of that is the issue.
Yeah.
It's and the question I think Ashley was really asking was, how do I keep all of those good things that I love about my husband, but have them be healthy instead of shame driven? Because if the shame was gone, I could still be the nice person who cares about people at work or does anything else, but I'll be able to set the boundaries that I need to, because if there's a few people that don't like my boundaries, I'm okay. Whereas with shame in the picture, if anybody doesn't like my boundaries, I'll tell you another quick story on this. Like on my LDS church mission, I got a reputation for being like a likable guy. Like everyone kind of liked me, they wanted to be in the same areas as I was and things. And about halfway through my mission, I was kind of called on the carpet by my mission president, who was in charge of the thing. And I was breaking a bunch of rules and things. And he said, you got to straighten it up. And I chose to straighten it up. And when I did, I finally had to go to some of the other people that I was interacting with and say, hey, I can't do this or this or this or this anymore. And most of the people respected it, but there were two that hated my guts for the last part of my service. They hated me. And I couldn't focus on the other 100 people that I got along with really well. All I could focus on was the two people that hated me that ultimately didn't matter anyway. Because that belief of shame was so rooted so deeply. And so doing that work, I think that's where Brandon was going with you, Josh, is like, if I can go make peace with some of that inner stuff, if I can actually start to surrender that and live a shame resilient life, that's going to be like the fuel that will allow me to then step into those places where now I'm at a place where there's people in my workspace that if I don't go and visit with them, I can go, bummer, I'm missing an opportunity, but I'm not going to walk away going like, oh, what do they think of me? Like, oh no, like they're going to see me as weak or inadequate or whatever else it is. But because that's the belief that I'm holding on to already. It's not something they're actually saying.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head for me personally, because it's like understanding that what stops me from the boundary is worrying about people not liking me, right? It's worried about coming across as a jerk. It's worried about coming across, and in your case of your mission, right? It's like you didn't want to. I'm sure they hated you because you're like, oh, he thinks he's so much better than us now. You're like, I don't think I'm better than you. Like, why are you hating me for that? Like, we should all just obey the rules, But I think like that fear of people not liking me or people thinking I'm a jerk, I think play a huge role in the boundaries that I.
But I think like it's kind of it goes beyond that, which is, okay, at work, people better like me, because I got to keep it all together. I'm running this business or whatever. I got to keep it all together, so they better like me. With my siblings, I want them to be happy and I want them to like me, and I want them to see me as a hero, because if they don't, it might all fall apart. And this woman at work who's breaking these boundaries, I want her to like me because I don't trust that she can handle it. She can handle it on her own of dealing with my truth or my boundary. And so it's really getting to this place, Josh. It's like Tyler's story about me, about holding stuff for me. Well, guess what? Tyler, I hate to tell you this, I'm good. Like in our late 30s, like I don't need you sitting off feeling guilty or whatever, worrying about your adult brother who can handle his own stuff, right? And
Right.
Josh, your siblings are good. And those women who deal with you having a boundary with them, they're big girls and they can figure out how to deal with that. And it's not your responsibility to control that. Give that to God and give it to them. But that's uncomfortable because it takes away that element of importance and control from you, from being able to hang on to that, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wonder how many boundaries you have with Ashley.
Can you handle Ashley being upset at you without thinking you're a bad guy? That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And
No.
Maybe you don't actually like the manicure or the facial. Maybe you just go to keep the peace.
I think he does, but
Well, and the funny thing about that is like, I feel like it's been during the recovery process, it's kind of been hard for me because I feel like he's stepped into this role of, it's not my responsibility to make Ashley happy, but I'm going to like give her anything that she asked me for because she deserves, and sometimes I do wonder if that's authentic. Like, can you keep this up? Like, you don't have to like sacrifice everything at every, like, it's like, can you watch the kids while I go get my nails done or whatever? Like all these things. It's like, you can say no, like, it's okay. You don't have to, you can prioritize me without sacrificing every single time I express something.
Well, actually, I would go even further to say that you want him to say no sometimes. You would rather have an honest husband who can deal with your discomfort than a pleaser who's always going to try to make you happy. And because there's the strength, right? There's the masculinity there that you'll really like.
Yeah. And I think on the other side of that, if he says yes all the time or doesn't have some boundaries with me, I probably feel like, well, maybe that's codependent. I don't know. Then I feel like maybe he's going to fall apart because he's, not getting things done at work that he should, or things that he needs to do for himself.
Right. Because he's just trying to please you. Right. So do you hear what she's saying, Josh?
I hear 100 women listeners saying, I wish my husband would just do everything I ask.
I have the unicorn.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. Go ahead, Josh.
No, that was Brandon, just like even asking, like, do you have boundaries with Ashley? It's like, I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would even be.
You don't turn into a douchebag because you have boundaries. That's not what we're talking about. You actually are much less resentful, much more loving, and much more available for empathy and connection when you are grounded enough to have some truths with her and some boundaries with her. And so, you don't swing the pendulum over to jerk mode to have boundaries with her. You be very empathetic and understand her pain and her life, but also have enough fortitude, enough strength to say, actually, I know who I am, and this is my truth, and this is what I need. And I'm hearing Ashley say she would actually appreciate that. She'd feel safer. She'd feel more trust in your relationship. What does it look like? It looks like just knowing yourself and being honest in the relationship.
This is a hard one though, Brandon, because, and I think Ashley said it too, but oftentimes Ashley can say what you just said, Ashley. You can say, yeah, I would love it if he said no once in a while. I can handle no once in a while. But I know that, Josh, you're sitting there and going, the minute that I say no to her, I already know that I'm going to get a look on her face or some type of a comment or something else. And I'm not going to like hear, oh, you're building trust and showing up safe. Like I'm going to, right. Like I'm going to feel like, oh, I'm a disappointment. Like, look, she got a frown on her face now, or, oh, she's like telling me that, and actually it might not even be that comfortable for you, Ashley, to actually have a boundary that he steps into and says, you know what, I actually can't get to I can't take care of the kids tonight. I've got to stay and work. And you've already made plans. Like, it's not going to be easy to be like, oh, good job. Way to have boundaries. You're going to be like, no, like, well, who's going to watch the kids then? Because I got to get this taken care of. Right.
And I expect you to just do this because that's what you always do.
Yeah. Right? So the work is a little bit more difficult, because in between that, what's actually happening is what Brandon's describing, but it looks and feels more difficult than that.
I think there's this, like, I'm trying to figure out in recovery, one of the biggest things I'm learning is to, like, make space when she's struggling. But inevitably when she's struggling, I'm struggling, right? If she's unhappy, if she's sad, like, that shame kicks in for me, like, I'm not enough, and I'm instantly struggling, right? And what I have to learn, or what I've had to learn, is just like, I got to put that on a shelf so that she can recover from those hard moments, or else she can't show up for me in my struggle. So, like, if she's like, I'm struggling, and I turn back and be like, well, now I'm struggling because you're struggling. And so now neither of us are going to heal or get out of that hard moment. And I think that plays in all of the things, right? She's struggling as a mom. She has so much to do. She has a huge pressure, and that's, like, heaped on her. So I'm like, oh, let me lift that off of you. And I certainly have my pressure myself, but I'm like, well, she can't help me with my pressure in her pressure cooker, right? So I have to one of us has to put our pressure aside for a second to try to help the other.
Well, you're describing some codependency, right? Some over attachment.
What?
Yeah, and so, like Tyler's saying, to kind of break that apart is uncomfortable and it's difficult. But ultimately, when I say codependency, Josh, you're using Ashley for your self-worth. You're consuming her. You're not loving her. And Ashley, as much as you might like it, like, good, he'll always take the kids, there's going to be a part of you that doesn't like that knows, like, hey, I'd rather have him be authentic and just love me rather than need me to be happy all the time. And so if you're consuming her for your self-worth, or you're consuming these women who want to connect to you for your self-worth because you won't have boundaries with them, the question is what do you need to do in order to get your question answered and find that self-worth outside of pleasing your siblings, outside of pleasing your wife, outside of pleasing these women who are breaking your boundaries. And that's the work that needs to be done. So then you can then step into this honesty and these boundaries with other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, it makes sense philosophically, but it's like, okay, that's a big step. It's a big,
what was the sigh, Josh?
I don't know. Recovery is scary. Is like, she has these, like, betrayal moments, and so it's just like, I'm holding on for dear life, right? And so you guys are like, you got to be stronger, and it's like, I'm holding on for dear life here. I don't know how to be, quote, stronger, right? So I'm like, I'm afraid of, like, finding a word, finding anything right now outside of my marriage.
Okay.
You're afraid of that because you don't trust yourself, or because why?
Well, I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how she'll respond, right? I heard you say once, it's like, there's this fear of vulnerability where you're vulnerable, you're your full self, and they're vulnerable and they're their full self. And then you're like, now that we're both vulnerable and authentic, do we match? And it's like, well, she clearly, early in our marriage, like, just an example, like, I started a startup, right? There's a lot of pressure and a lot of difficulty right now in the startup. early in our marriage, she's like, I just want you to be like a post office worker. Like I want you to be like a clock puncher, right? We don't need to be successful. We just need each other. And I'm like, my ambition and goal is still real, authentic, and I want to do a startup, right? So that has always been hard. And so finding a balance there where I give her what she needs at the sacrifice of my startup, that's hard. But it's like, if I'm on my authentic self and dig in on my startup and draw some kind of boundary around that, is that just going to blow up in my
question,
face?
I want you to really stop and think when I ask this. Is your authentic self a father that will neglect his son and not be around? Is that your authentic self? No, that's not. Okay. So yeah, you want to go for it in business. You want to do this startup, but also like independent of what Ashley thinks you should be or should do you want to be there as a dad? Okay.
Yeah.
And a husband, right? So you can let go of her as your motivation, as your driver to say, this is what you should do. And Josh, you're not trusting yourself. It's interesting what you did is when we said you need to be stronger, you applied the very thing that you apply all the time. Okay, I got to do more. There's pressure. I got to be. And the fact of the matter is the way that you get stronger, Josh, is to let go and let God, is to surrender all this trying to be good enough and to rest on that strength that's already behind you and already there. And so it's not about you fixing all this to be a better man. It's about you trusting that God has made you good. You are good. And so, yes, you can start a business and you can have boundaries with that business and be a father. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you have controlled it for so long as the hero, as the person who's going to make sure that everything's okay. And so it's scary to free fall a little bit. It's scary to be like, where am I going to land? If I really am just me, what's going to happen? Right. And, and Ashley, I think the part of you doesn't want him to do that. And then part of you is like, please let go of all this stuff. Right.
Well, I just feel like as we go into recovery and as he's like, as he allows himself to like be his authentic self, I hope and trust that he will develop these boundaries that will allow him to be successful, like more successful in every aspect of his life than he has been in the past, because his priorities will match his actions. And like, that doesn't mean that he neglects his business. Like you're saying, like, I know that that's important to him. I just want, I think that the rest, as you described it, is like, he doesn't have to do more. He can, be his authentic self but trust that he's going to do the right things at the right time.
Trust God, trust yourself, right? And try not to use other people as the crutch or their validation to say it's okay.
If you want a recipe for disaster, go do a startup and don't address your shame.
You might make a lot of money and be completely miserable.
But if you want to be authentic and you want to do your startup, you better address the shame, because the shame is the thing that's keeping that belief that you got to please everybody, instead of just letting yourself look yourself in the mirror, Josh. Like, and this is what I think is maybe as painful for your wife as anything is that she sees all the good in you and she wants you to look in the mirror and see the same thing and then make your choices because of what you already know about yourself instead of what you're afraid of. And if you knew that you were a hard worker and a loving husband and an engaged father and a caring and kind coworker, you wouldn't have to go prove anything, and you'd actually just naturally be all of those things because you already are. But the motivation would be different.
Man, we're out of time, but I want to dig into Ashley. Like we've dug into Josh a lot today, so I want to know what's going on there and talk about you, Ashley. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. Josh, how are you feeling as we've been talking?
I feel okay.
Ashley, how are you feeling?
Good. I think we're going to always have a lot of work
Absolutely.
to do.
We all do.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for your willingness to come on and put yourselves out there and share so wholeheartedly with things. These are really good topics. For those of you guys listening, if you had something ring here and you've got a question, go to realtalkrecovery.com and actually submit a question. And if it was helpful for you, make sure that you're sharing it with anyone else who might benefit from it as well.
See you guys.
Okay, thanks so much.